Hi, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About It, a series where I've cultivated some friends to talk about their experience navigating those first couple of years outside of music education and where they've ended up at. So far, we've had people in high school, middle school, and today, my guest, Erin Nolan,
Mhm.
another USM friend, is going to talk to her about her experience in elementary music education, something that a lot of programs don't really touch on too much, and so her experience navigating that. So I'll turn it over to her and let her introduce herself before we really get into it.
Hey there. So I'm Erin Nolan as well. Not as well. I'm Erin as well. But I'm Erin Nolan. Like you said, I'm an elementary music school teacher. I've been teaching for 4 years now. So I got a job right out of college and started working. And I've been at the same school for all 4 of those years. So I'm from Pensacola, Florida. Traditionally Pace, but not many people know Pace. But I got my job over in Escambia County. So that's where I'm at. Erin and I, like you said, met at Southern Miss through I think mutual friends. And then we just kind of always ended up hanging out together. The errands, and then I think you started learning oboe too, and I play oboe.
Yes.
So
Yep. Yeah, she
yeah.
was my advice because I was trying to get more in information. Just like I don't know, we did the when we were going through the woodwind methods. I really wanted to know more
Mhm.
about all the woodwinds and kind of be like a little bit of a specialist in it. Which I was told that was like kind of not a thing, but whatever. And but I did my little semester of oboe. COVID reared her head and kind of messed that up at the end. And I did another semester in grad school, and I also did clarinet. So now I have a couple of
Ooh.
them. I also did bassoon in grad school too, for a semester. So
Ooh.
like a couple of new additions. No, it's been fun. I wish I
Yeah.
could keep doing it, but money, and I want to pay people what
Yeah.
they're worth, and I cannot afford that right now. So yeah. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I really just wanted your perspective, and we talked about it a little bit before the recording, but so like in our program, we only had one semester of elementary music, and I believe you said that COVID for you interrupted that. So I wanted to
Hmm.
talk, for you to talk about more about that, and then just how you've did you always have like an interest in elementary ed, and like how has that been navigating since COVID to now?
Yeah. So in college, I feel like it was mainly centered around being middle or high school education. And when I went through college, I started as a double major with instrumental and choral education. And then about halfway through, they're like, hey, you're going to get the same degree that says music education. So kind of pick a side. That way you can stay within your 4 years. So because of that, I picked instrumental, but I still carried on with my like choral classes that I could, and so that kind of helped me going into finding a job. It's like, what can I do that does both? Um, and so I didn't originally think I was going to do elementary music. I've always kind of worked with kids and elementary age through working at church, and working in children's ministry. And then I was like, what? I'm done. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to teach band, and I wanted to do middle school band. And that's what I did half of my student teaching for. And then my second half, I ended up being placed at a upper elementary. And so then after that, I was like, wait, I don't think I really want to do band anymore. I don't know. I just kind of fell in love with the kids I was working with, and it was like a tiny little homey school over there in Mississippi, and it was just fun. And I just kind of want to enjoy my job. I still play my oboe. I love to do music, but my job in elementary gives me a different side of music than what I do, kind of gigging and playing. And so I didn't want to burn out with doing middle school band or high school band. Um, so elementary it was, and it kind of happened through the job fair. Those were a lot of the jobs that were open at the time were elementary, and I wasn't very excited about it. But I just knew I needed to get a job. I needed to make money. And then I got there at my job, and I've loved it ever since. So,
Awesome. Yeah. And it sounds like a pretty good school district for you to be here. I think you're the
Hmm.
second person now to have started at the same school that you're um, to still be at the same school that you started with. A lot of other people have like
Hmm.
jumped or like gone through different grade levels or something like that for various reasons, of course. But I also kind of like to highlight y'all that like I'm always happy when I hear that y'all have landed in like good, I'm assuming supportive school districts
Hmm.
since you're still there. So I always like to highlight that. And I think, especially with last episode, with talking with Manny, that a lot of the times we can talk about like all the negative things about like those first couple of years, but I think I'd like
Hmm.
to start implementing like little positives and things like that. So yeah, but going on more about that. So like, take me through your typical day teaching.
So, especially with elementary, we get up very early, and I live 40 minutes away from my job. So I literally wake up at like 4:30 in the morning.
I want to throw
It's
up. Oh my
so
god.
bad. And I don't go to bed till like 10:30 at night. So when I'm done, I'm done. I have learned to thrive off of like no sleep and lots of caffeine. But yeah, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, give it about an hour or so to get ready and then get on the road. Um, but at school, we start at 7:10, and so I usually have my morning duty, either standing out there in the rain or the freezing or the super hot, at my little back gate walker duty. And then I start actually teaching at 7:45 in the morning. And then we go to 1:50. So at our school, we happen to have a really big school. And so we have like over 900 kids just at our one
Mm,
elementary. And as an elementary teacher, you teach all of the kids. But because they're so big, we have multiple music teachers at my school, which honestly has helped me out so much. Especially being newer or, especially my first year and stuff. But I'm one of the full time, so is another lady, and then we have one itinerant teacher just on Thursdays and Fridays. So because of that, we have classes for 30 minutes at a time, and then on sometimes 40. And then we typically see them twice a week. So they get an hour of music a week. Um, but yeah, I do get my duty free lunch. Not everybody does, but I do. Um and then my duty at the end of the day. So the grades I teach pre-K now all the way through 5th grade.
mm,
And every day is pretty much all of those grades. So whatever I have planned for Monday is the same lesson I'm doing pretty much all week.
mhm,
Um so by the end of the week, I'm like, wait, did I make sure I mentioned this or this? Did I repeat myself? So it does get to be kind of a lot of repetition, I feel like, in elementary, but I don't know. You just see the growth in the kids. And I think the best thing with elementary is the fact that for some of them, I see them pre K or most of them kindergarten, and I get to grow with them all the way through 5th grade. And so
mhm.
far, I've been with kindergarten and I've seen them get to, is it 3rd grade now? Second, third, third now. So it's like, all those are my little babies, you know, but they're cute,
Oh,
or at
that's
least
so
they were,
loud.
but. They grow. Like I
Yeah,
said, they
they grow,
grow.
and sometimes they go through little gremlin phases. I'm
Yes.
sure. So, like, where was my child, my sweet child from last year? I bet that's been
Yes.
a.
Yes.
So,
It's like you were just so sweet.
so now that kind of makes me want to ask about like energy. Like
Yeah.
another reason why I was so interested in talking to you is because besides the fact of like getting up early in the morning, which as you probably remember, I'm not an early morning person. So the fact that you
Yeah.
said most people have been saying like, oh, I get up at like 5:30. You said you started with 4 and it made me want to throw up. So I'm like,
Oh.
I don't know how you're doing that, but you're doing it. And if you say you're
Thank
thriving,
you.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
But I do remember from the one class that we did, like it's a lot of energy of just
Hmm.
being just interactive because of course they're young kids. You have to, I'm assuming you have to like keep the energy going and then also like be interactive and fun, otherwise you lose their attention, especially with the younger
Yeah.
one. And then like I also remember, I think I remember from like um what's the word I'm looking for, like shadowing classes and stuff like that.
Hmm.
There was this one person and she was great. I think she won like a couple of like teacher year of the year awards, and I'm glad I got to shadow her. But I think she was at like Petal Elementary or something like that.
That's where
And
I student taught at Pedal Upper.
yeah, it
So
was a I don't remember her name at all. I'm not gonna
no,
lie about it.
yes, I did student
Um,
teach at Pedal.
Gotcha.
Pedal and
But I
Purpose.
remember like one person, like there was just a kid that like just started just like meltdown, and she like addressed it for 2 seconds, and then she's like, "Okay, you do your thing. We're gonna
Yeah.
continue when you get a second." Like how are you? I know I just threw a lot, but how do you keep up that energy, that balance with things? Because that's in my mind just a different take than, of course, like having 80 kids in the classroom, teaching
Mhm.
scales and stuff like that, like in middle and high school band.
Yeah. So, keeping up the energy is a lot of my job. Like, we are their special area and we're supposed to be there, fun, get out of sitting in a desk kind of time. Um, but with that, it still has to be productive and following behavior and procedures. Um, and so we establish all that. But no, like I feel like it's music with Miss Nolan time, 30 minutes of just staying on. Like we don't get the moment in like a general education class where it's like, okay, well now you can go read your book and go take these tests or now do this. Like in music, it's on and it's always on for that 30 minutes at a time. And so we get like 5 minutes to transition between each classes. So at those 5 minutes, as soon as I close that door, I'm like recharge. Like, well, what do I do? And I'm just like, quick decompress. All right, back to it. And I feel like a lot of people, and even just like teachers in general, like don't realize that. Like, we don't get that chance to just sit and breathe all the time. And not that they do too. But like you said, it's like always on. And then you mentioned about like, kids, and you can't just stop a class because of one kid. And, it's once a day or it's always something, and it's just a matter of, are you going to let the class waste their music time? They only have 30 minutes on one behavior, or are you going to address that one behavior? So it's kind of a mix of both. Like I said, they know my procedures and they know what I expect, and if they can't meet those expectations, then hey, go figure yourself out. When you're ready, come back, you know um and it happens quite a bit. And then I do teach our um, special needs classes at our school too. And so oftentimes those classes it's a lot of that, 80% of the class could be like that one day and then not the other. So it's kind of just, what can you do to fit the situation you're in at the time? Might have my list of all the things that we're going to do for this lesson, but a set list and then different personalities sometimes doesn't always fit the same. So I think with my job, you just have to be so adaptive and just kind of roll with the punches, have your little grab bag of things to do, and just go with it. So,
Nice, nice.
that is
Yeah,
cool.
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know all teachers kind of had to deal with that. There might be a student that, is like given a lot of attitude or just like won't open a workbook or something like that, and they it's I feel like it's just easier to move on from that because, you still have to teach like a math lesson or something like that. And if a kid doesn't want to
Hmm.
open a workbook, whatever, just keep going on. But like, especially with younger kids, I feel like that they're more in tune. So like if little Jimmy is crying and bawling over here, it's like, should I be doing that too? Like what?
Yeah,
Like I feel like it can be like a chain reaction. So I don't know.
they
That gives
feed off
me
each other.
yes, a lot more. And so I feel like I don't know, that would just give me a lot of anxiety because at a certain point, like
Yeah.
it's now you've turned into a ticky time bomb, and like the rest of them like, could also potentially light a fuse.
Oh.
So it's always just I just have always had mad respect for elementary music teachers because you have to keep this fun environment, but then at the same time, like
Hmm.
they can't go wild. Like you still have a lesson at the end of the day. Do you ever feel like, and again, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to like start any mess, but like, do you ever feel like sometimes like your other teachers that are not in music are do you feel like they're supportive of what you do, or do they kind of just cast you? And it doesn't even have to be like in your school. Like if you met other educators outside of your school and you've talked and like, oh yeah, I do music. Do you ever feel like they have like just kind of cast what you do like as non-important and then go, oh, it's just 30 minutes for them to kind of mess around?
Yeah. So the typical stereotype is where their breaks so they can go lesson plan. And
Hmm.
like I said, it's a stereotype, you know. Um, Most of my teachers I work with, I do feel like they are supportive and they know what I do with the kids. My second graders are reading rhythms, that you would see in middle school band. I truly am teaching them. We're doing music history, songs, bunch of stuff. And then you do have a few teachers who are like, "Oh, good, you played today. Good." And it's like, okay, well, it might have been a game, but what was the game about? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And we have to spark their energy somehow. Am I going to get their attention saying, "Hey, we're going to learn about rhythms today and this is the beats for them," or say, "Hey, let's do a game today and ooh, we're going to talk about rhythms with our game. You ready?" So often we are kind of considered like, "Oh, yeah, just play around." But oftentimes when we are playing, it is educational and it is what we're learning about, and they have a better sense of the topic after it. So, but like I said, at my school, I mostly feel supported from teachers, and there's just a few instances, and I wouldn't even say it's like the person in general. It would be maybe just a small comment
Hmm.
um, that makes me kind of feel like I don't do I'm not a real teacher. I think that's what a lot of people think. We're not the real teachers. But yes, we are. We got a same education degree. Um, so it's fine. It's fine. But
No,
we
I
do
remember.
teach.
Yes, and I that's part of the reason why I wanted to ask that is to like highlight that for anyone who's might stumble upon this and not be in the art space too, because
Hmm.
I just want to let y'all plug that y'all are you're the same amount of teacher as anyone else is.
Hmm.
Because I know in the past, I think it was Val's episode, the very first one I did, like she mentioned like sometimes that like or a lot of the times people will just make like just comments or something like that, and it's not even other teachers, sometimes it's parents too, just like kind of
Hmm.
like, oh, this isn't important, and but not actually saying that, just kind of mindless, really. Like they don't
Yeah.
mean any harm by it. It's just the natural thing about the arts is that like, oh, this is just optional, and this is just
Extracurricular.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But like you said, especially at second grade level, teaching rhythms that you would see in like
Hmm.
beginner band or something like that is a super, super great foundation. And I know a lot of the bands around the area that you're at like are really good. And so
Hmm.
that's like tying into that. I've talked with a couple of middle school educators at this point, and they also really love being the foundation. And so you're being
Hmm.
the foundation even earlier than that in a
Yeah.
fun way that the kids aren't even like they're like it's sinking in, but at the same time, like you said, it's like, oh yeah, it's music time with Miss Nolan, and like they're not even like being drilled the way that some other later on in the program when they could do. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of highlight that, and it's always just great hearing how y'all are doing. But so outside of that too, I did just mention like being in the area that you're at. So another aspect that I like to talk about, or that I'm trying to work in more, is so I know you said that you returned to like the same like area that you came from, but how has that transition been going from college? And then, I'm assuming that you might still have some friends that you grew up with in that area and you're still being around there, but um, we're all a lot more grown now. And so
Yeah.
even then, like I've talked to other people that have come back to the same area, but like the friendships have changed. And so navigating being a professional that, is up at 4 o'clock in the morning till, and then you get home, I'm assuming at like 2:30 or something like that, or three, because of the drive time that you have. How have you like balanced friendship, and how have you balanced, music? Because you said you still gig and things like that.
Mhm. Yeah, so coming out of college, I told you I came back home and I had lots of established friends and friendships, and I think I tried to like get back, and see what it'd be to be back home with them. But when I went away, they all kind of stayed here. And that's not a diss at them at all, but I think we just grew in two different ways. So I came back and I didn't necessarily have my home friends that I had, but I did have my family. Um, but then coming here, it's like, okay, well, what happened to all my college friends? I'm now 3 hours away from them. And so those kind of started to get distance as well. Um, and so I think that's kind of like an ongoing thing that I'm still working towards. I think it's hard to have friends as an adult. Like you said, we have our job, we
Yes.
work. I have so many other side things that I do, and it's like, when do you have time for friends? I want time. Where do you meet them? You know?
Mhm.
I did get really close with some of the younger teachers at my school. And so we're still good friends now, and they don't even teach at that same school anymore. So I had my little group there, and then I ended up making like a little small business for a short time because I was so
Ooh.
bored. I was like, how do I make money and then also like occupy my time? And so then I met some people through that too. So I have my like small group of friends, um, which I'm very grateful for. But yeah, just coming home wasn't the same as it used to be with those same friends. And then, like I said, my friends from college, we've all kind of grown in our different ways. So the friends aspect, we're kind of still working on more, or at least hanging out more.
Mhm.
Um, but then like the playing and the gigging side of things, um, I've gotten to gig at quite a few different churches and just different venues around town. And part of that is through joining like different community bands. And we have quite a lot in Pensacola. So right now I'm part of the Pensacola Civic Band, which is I would say is about like our middle band. You have the symphony and then the civic band, and then you have other opportunities like the Bay Band too. So I joined the civic band, and I'm still part of that. I'm on year I think 2.5 of that, but I love it, and it's people of all different ages. I can be playing with like 85-year-olds, and I do teach a 84-year-old oboe lessons too. So
Okay.
it's
Oh,
fun. It's
wow.
fun.
Yes.
What's cool is she actually worked with my grandma in the hospital. So it's like a whole like full
Oh,
circle
wow.
moment. Now we play together. Um, and then like I said, I joined part of the Pensacola Bay Band for like a little short part. And then now I'm a part of a new group that we haven't even actually met yet, but it's the Pensacola Chamber Winds. I told you we haven't even met yet. Yeah, so we're starting that, so that'll be lots of fun. I did a little bit of like a double read ensemble that just started up over the summer too. So I do still play like a lot, which I'm very grateful for. Because I feel like I've even grown more as a player outside of college, and that's not with my like daily playing, or at least supposed to be daily playing that I was. College gets in the way of some things
Oh,
of playing all the
absolutely.
time. Um, but yeah, and then our local university also needs an oboe player. And so anytime they don't have like an enrolled oboe player, they ask me to come play for them. So I play for
Oh,
them.
wow.
It's like I'm a college student again, except now I'm old and not like college. I'm college. People are of college age all the time, but I'm like, man, I'm not in the same like zone as you guys.
Mindset, yeah, which is
Yeah,
not a
exactly.
bad thing at all because sometimes,
Yeah.
I mean, I currently work at a university. Sometimes I hear like things from like the undergrads and like I'm just passing them in the hallway and the stuff that they're talking about, like they're having a meltdown over the smallest thing, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, what it is to think that that's a problem. I miss that.
It's not. Just get
It's
past
not
it.
not
Go into
actually
the
a
real
problem.
world.
Just stop talking to that person. You don't actually have to. That's you're having a meltdown that you haven't heard from Jason. Meanwhile, like I'm like, rent, bills, like Like actually, like oh, what it is to be ignorant again, of real
Yes, to
things.
not have all these responsibilities. I wish. But
Yes.
no, we're adults. But
No, I feel that a lot. But oh, I'm so happy to hear that you're still playing, that you're still because
mhm.
that was a big thing I was wondering too, about is like but you did mention that part of the reason why you went into elementary music is to not be so drained from the ensemble of it all. And I've
Yeah.
talking to a couple different people, they try to put in things as well, but you don't have like any after school responsibilities, do you? Like with your
No.
Mhm.
So I think it's like a big thing sometimes for elementary schools to have like an after school elementary choir. And I went into my job like wanting to start that up, wanting to do it. And then I realized like time is money. And and this is just I mean, everybody would do it or most people would. Like I'm not going to work with no pay, if that makes sense. I hope that's not a bad thing, right?
No,
I
it's
already work
not a bad
overtime
thing.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so to kind of like counteract that, we do programs throughout the year for our grade levels. And so last year we did like all six of our grades, on stage, big full performance. And at my school, we're lucky enough to have a cafeteria that's kind of detached from the actual school itself, so we can
Mhm.
do programs during the morning, during the days. So I don't have to go up after school at night. Um, and do those kinds of things without necessarily that pay for it.
Okay.
Um, so and my our admin is very supportive of that. And another thing, like with elementary, trying to get all those kids to come back after school is even harder. And like our district is a Title I district.
Mhm.
And so oftentimes like those students don't have a ride back to the school. Or, you have another side. Well, those students, they either play a sport or soccer or football. Um, so sometimes they can't go to those things either. So it's always easier to do programs during the school day.
Mm.
Kind of easier. I mean, it's a lot of rescheduling for us to do of our schedule, but like I said, I'm not working overtime and spending my nights up at the school. So,
Yeah, and then also I imagine like with parent availability and stuff like that. I think
hmm
especially like the moment that you said with rides and like some people might be working overnight or something like that, and so
yeah,
having those morning programs, it's interesting. I never thought about that. That could actually maybe work for them better. Or like
yeah,
the students that have like their older siblings that like take them home or something like that. Like now they don't have
hmm
to reschedule their thing. So that's a very interesting point that you made about that. And
yeah,
I know just in general it's hard for educators to find work life balance. And so I'm glad that like you kind of took a second to be like, okay, even if I get like a stipend from this, is it really worth it at the end of the day,
yeah.
especially with what everything that you said that you were doing, like all these ensembles and stuff like that. And it sounds like you get paid. I'm assuming you get paid from some of the churches that you gig at as well.
hmm
So like
yeah,
that's your secondary supplemental thing,
hmm
which is also hard for educators to find because let's be real. I mean, y'all don't really get paid the way what you should be. So
yeah.
a lot of times I feel like educators often they'll supplement by doing like Miriam said she was doing show choir and um, other things like that. Or of course like marching band for the people teaching middle school or high school band. And so that's the whole. I have a friend down in Texas, and it's Texas, so his fall is like gone.
hmm
And I'm just like he's happy about it. He loves doing that, but I'm just thinking for me personally, I'm like, oh God, no, I actually like having my
I
afternoons.
like my time, and I know the students like their time too. Like they should be able to go home and do what they have plans to do too. And I'm not trying to like not give kids that extra opportunity to perform. I just know they'll get more benefit out of it by doing it at school, and then they get to perform in front of all their peers. They get to perform in front of all their parents, and they don't have to stress about the How do I get home? How do I do this? When we're giving them that same opportunity at school. So,
Yeah, I love that, and they'll get those opportunities later on. Like that's what kind
mhm,
of middle school and high school are for anyway.
yeah.
The after school concerts and the memories of like staying in like the hallway or something like that and talking to friends and like ordering a pizza or something like that. I remember that from our like Christmas concerts or like spring concert or something like that. So I love that the thought behind what's easier for everybody, and
Mhm,
especially you as the educator.
yeah.
But yeah, going like going back a little bit too. As we've talked about a couple times now, that like you don't really get much training for what you're doing right now.
Mhm.
So I know you said you've made some friends with some teachers. Are there any like did you have the opportunity with some of the more veteran teachers to like kind of have establish a mentor relationship?
Yeah. So like I said, at my school, I have that other full-time music teacher, and I wouldn't say I necessarily got to like shadow her all the time because when I jumped into my job, that was my job and she was doing her job too. But I think at that time it was really important to learn from her since she had been at the school for so long as well. And so I don't think I'd be as good of a teacher as I am today, honestly, without her. Um, and so she is a big help to me, and still is. We're all always still learning. There's always something that you're like, oh wait, we have to do that, or there's this that goes with this. And she knows it all. She's been doing it for a while. And then in our district, whenever you're a new teacher, they assign you like it's called a start teacher, and you go through a start program. And so these are people who are teachers who stepped outside of the job to go and train new teachers. So it was basically like student teaching kind of all over again, where I'd had somebody come and observe how I was teaching, except now I'm like legit the teacher. Um, and so I got that help from them, which honestly was very beneficial too. And she actually is what landed me one of my like church jobs as well too, because
Mm.
her husband was the church worship leader. Yes, there you go. So I did have that mentorship. Now in college, like I said, I didn't get much of an elementary education. And I think my teacher was sick like a lot of the time too. So it's like I didn't get as much as I feel like I wanted. And that's not a diss at the school. It's just what was going on at the time, you
Yeah.
know? And I kind of realized that, especially just a couple weeks ago. Like, I went to our Florida All-State Conference and we spent 3 days there, and they're doing all these things, and I've known about, but I'm like, whoa, like, literally everybody's all like trained in this and does this and that. And it's like, I want to do that. And I've known I've wanted to as well. Um, but I didn't get that from an early age teaching,
Hmm.
as much as I had wanted to. So I do have like aspirations to get like ORF certification,
Oh,
and
nice.
Kodai kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and just attend as many trainings as I can. Because truly, like Florida All State, going to all those different conferences, I'm like, whoa, my mind is blown. I can do so much more, you know. Um, but also, I will say it was a little bit of a validation, because some of the things that some presenters were presenting on, it's like, okay, well, I do that, and I do that correctly.
Oh, yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was like, yes, it's all good. um,
Yes,
but yeah.
those professional developments and like conferences opportunities. Like I've only been to one, and I'm hoping to go to another one in like 2027.
Mhm.
Because down in New Orleans. I'm like, oh,
Ooh.
so yeah, but no, it was like I had just come off of a bad year, and it was like my first full year like as my person who like does the admissions for my program, and so I was like looking for fresh or new ideas, and a lot of the conference topics was like, oh, we already do that. So I'm like, okay, it is what it is, and that
Yeah.
it did help me kind of go into this current year, and manage expectations, and also remind myself we are doing plenty. Yeah, we've implemented a lot of new things, but I think just in any type of setting like that, in an education, whether it's on the staff side or the teaching side of it, too, it's important to take advantage of those opportunities, if nothing, just for the validation of I'm doing the
Hey,
thing and
yes.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I love
Yeah.
that. So it
Because
sounds
imposter
like
syndrome is real. It really
yes,
is.
and we can
So,
talk about that too. Yeah. Have have you like what's your experience with that so far? Like how have you kind of overcome it if you have it?
I I think I have. I mean, being on year 4, things have started to get like into a groove of it, and it's not like I'm new. It's not like I'm trying to fill shoes. And the when I got my job, initially it was a long-term teaching position. I forget what it was called, but I had the teacher who it was for had the opportunity to come back. So at
Mm,
that point, it's like, okay, well, am I Miss Nolan or am I just a long-term sub at this point? You know?
mm,
And so that's what I kind of dealt with the first year. I was always just on my toes, like, am I gonna be able to come back? Um, and that even went into the second year as well. Um, and then I ended up staying. But no, like it's very real to just feel like you're not good enough sometimes, or why am I their teacher? Should it have gone to a different person?
mm.
Um, but no, I think just being able to see the growth in the students and just seeing how happy they are to come to music. And I get comments from like teachers, like they're just so excited to come to your music classroom. And I think that's just
Aw.
very just like validating. It's like, you know what? Yes, that's what they should be. They should be excited to go to music. Um, so no, I think it's getting better. It's better.
No, and it's
But
not a bad thing to not really. I mean, like obviously, I think anyone would be shaken up, especially that first year, and a
mhm,
little bit of change about being like, okay, especially if again, sometimes people can be careless with their words, and so if they like, oh yeah, like you're the like this other person might come back, and so it might
yeah.
like, I know that can shake you to your core, but I'm really happy that now it's like especially the validation from other teachers or just like noticing the students yourself, both external and internal validation you're getting, has
Hmm.
kind of helped that along too. Yeah, that would have definitely shaken me up to be like, gonna be here next year? Like, is it a performance thing, or is like no matter what I do, is she just gonna come back and like take the position? So okay, I like that. That's a little bit more of a positive spin about managing that.
Yeah.
You mentioned like maybe getting ORF and Kodai certified. So are you thinking you're going to be in it for the long haul?
I am. I truly love elementary, and I didn't think I'd ever say that. Um, I don't know. I feel like it fits me and who I am as a person. Um, it fits my schedule really well too. Like it does allow me to, go home and do what I want. I've never really had a desire to like do marching band. I did it all throughout high school, all throughout college. Do I want to teach it? No. Do I want to spend my hours up out of school till 9:30 at night? No, absolutely not. Good for you that do. I'm so glad. I hope you have a personal life as well. um, no, I mean it truly is needed. It truly is needed. Um,
But not
I just don't
everyone
think that's
can do
me.
it. Yeah, not
Yeah,
everyone needs to do it. I mean, they have
yeah.
high school and middle school people. You don't have to also do that just because your background is in it. You've done the thing and you're supporting from the sidelines.
Yeah.
Go bands. But
I'm establishing their love from an early age, so that they can want to join middle
talk
school,
about it.
high school.
Yes,
And I feel like that's what
exactly.
sometimes like middle and high school directors don't always see sometimes. I feel like elementary is kind of looked down on a lot.
Hmm.
But just remember like they have that love because it started at an early age from their elementary teacher. I even
Yeah.
had a kid tell me this past week, she said, Miss Nolan, I think I'm starting to love music more than PE. And I'm like, I said, don't you tell your PE teacher that. um, so, that's our job is to teach them to love music. And I love music and I love what I do. And I feel like I can give the students the enthusiasm that they need and meet them where they're at. So
Hmm.
if I were to change my mind, years down the road, I think I would actually do like middle school choir. So I've done
Hmm.
a lot of band and I've seen a lot of band. And like I said, I went in as like a double major with both. Um, but I could see myself as like middle school choir. But I don't know. I love
That's
elementary.
that's down the road and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And
we'll see
I
what
mean, as
happens.
long as you're loving exactly like what you're doing, I mean, I won't
Yeah.
say it's like a rare thing that I talk to people, but I think it's I don't know, I think it's nice. I feel like you're a little bit more settled in what you're doing than what some of the other people that I've talked to. And no shade to them. I mean, me personally, I'm still not sure exactly what the hell I'm doing. With anything. And I'm kind of just starting to kind of see what I'm doing, and hopefully we'll probably go back or continue down because it's a pretty stable career and might be like an assistant director of admissions, hopefully at a
Ooh.
music school. That would be ideal.
Mhm.
So that way I can still stay in the space with it, but
Music
like
realm.
yes, exactly. So like, but it's also kind of refreshing to hear that like, oh no, this is I'll probably stay here for the bulk of it, for the long haul, because um you just sound really supported, and it just sounds like no, it just sounds nice. So I'm just very happy for you, honestly, hearing
Thank you.
all of these things. Of course, yeah.
Mhm.
So I think the last thing I kind of want to ask is that so you like mentioned that you teach like an 84-year-old student. Do you have kind of do you have kind of like a studio going on or anything like that? Are you teaching any lessons on top of the plethora of gigs?
Yeah, so I don't have like a big studio. It's more of like what can I fit in the times that I have. I do teach my 84-year-old, and I actually met her through the civic band. She
Hmm.
plays flute and wanted to learn oboe because of a surgery, and so she thought that would help her. So it's kind of just like, um, it's not teaching rhythms, not any of that. It's kind of teaching how do you play the oboe, how can we adapt to your needs, for
Yeah.
her. And then I do teach a middle school student. He's seventh grade. He got to All-State this year. So that was really exciting.
Ooh.
And first year All County.
Oh
Um, so
wow.
yeah, I enjoy my lessons because then I do kind of get that little middle school feel for a second.
Mhm.
Kind of band teaching. Um, yeah. I'm always open to more as long as my like schedule allows it. But
Okay, nice.
mhm,
I think I'm just really impressed with like how you've prioritized your work life balance.
yeah.
And I think that's helps it sounds like it's helped a lot with maintaining your love of music. So I think that's like a big takeaway from this that we've talked about is like if you kind of come out the gate with that work life balance, it's just a lot easier to navigate. But of course, like in teaching, it's like often said at the beginning like you're not going to have a work life balance either. So I think it just really depends on what you want to do. But at the end of the day, it's just I think it's really refreshing to just hear somebody who's a lot more who's just comfortable and can ebb and flow with things a little bit more, and it's not based off of just their school teaching.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I try. I love my balance, and that's how I can get through only so many hours of sleep at night. It's because I have my balance. And it's okay to say no. We're doing a like a book study with our teachers and our admin and stuff like that. And this past week's study was it's okay to say no. I'm like, all right, well, I got my permission. We can't always do everything. So
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I want to keep the positivity train going. So, just kind of wrap up. I have a couple questions for you. I like to end these sessions with. The first one is, what are three things that you are proud that you've accomplished, just like in the last couple of years?
ooh. What was the last thing?
Just like in the last couple of years. It doesn't have to
In
be
the
like this
last couple
year. It could
years.
be anything. Yeah, in the last couple of years.
Okay. One thing I told you I work with. our like special needs students at our school too, and they
Mhm.
come from a bunch of different backgrounds and abilities that they can do, can't do. And so even just like this year, seeing where they started, and then Friday, like all of them are together, sitting on the ground, rhythm sticks in hand, and like following and playing rhythm. Like if you knew these students, like it was a miracle. And so it's like you do get to see growth. You do. Um, so that's one thing that I'm proud of. Just seeing the growth in the students. And that kind of starts with you know. Another thing I'm proud of, gotta think, sorry.
I love the
um,
eyebrow thing you just
thank you,
did.
thank you, thank you. I am proud that I have continued to like play oboe and continue to work that into my life. Because at least my first year of teaching, I didn't do any of that. It was just go to school, go to work, go to home, go to work, go to home. And so, especially lately, I've been able to incorporate much more playing. Um, Third thing I'm proud of, sorry.
You're fine. You don't have to
You don't
apologize.
get to like toot your own horn very often.
Exactly. That's why I
Um,
do this. Yeah. I mean, I really strive for three. And even if you
yeah,
have to think about it for a little bit, I really strive for three because y'all need to pat yourselves on the back.
yeah. Third thing I'm proud of is, I mean, like we kind of just talked about, just like being able to have that, um, just kind of turn off button. Sometimes, like I do have my life, I can go and travel when I want and come back and do my job. So I feel like I've done a good job of trying to, um, make sure my bucket gets filled,
Hmm.
um, so that I can go and help other students fill their bucket. So.
Love it. Okay. See, it was hard, but you did
I did it.
it.
Thank you. Sorry.
Uh, you're fine. Alrighty. So next thing, what's something that you're looking forward to in the near future? It could be personal, like a vacation or something like that, or like if there's like if you've got a performance or something like coming up or something like that, or it could be about like anything. Yeah, it could be personal or it could be work related. It's just something nice.
Something I'm looking forward to.
Hmm.
Spring break.
Love it. Love it.
um,
Honestly, same.
or just you know, I get to see Post Malone here in the summer. That'll be fun.
Wow.
So just like I don't know,
Okay.
new experiences.
Yes, new experiences or just time away from work. We love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Um,
hope this like podcast doesn't sound like I'm like getting away from like my job and like don't do my
no.
job. Trust me, like I do my job.
No, it
Um,
definitely has it's like I said, I think it's important to not just harp on the fact that once you're teaching, that's your whole life.
yeah,
Like I think especially and it's not like this is your first year.
yeah.
This is you've had a couple years under your belt to kind of craft this. You even said that first year you didn't even play that much because
Mm.
it was just doing the job. And that's also been kind of a theme with this podcast. It's like it's okay that first year that like if you don't know what you're doing or you feel like you don't know what you're doing because you pretty much don't because
Yeah, you're
college
thrown
is
into
just
it.
yes, exactly. College is just getting you all the blanket things when it comes
Hmm.
to now there are a couple things that maybe colleges could do better, but at the end of the day, I also like to drive home that like for the recent graduates that if you feel as though college should have prepared you for every little scenario, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
And a large part of going into the world post music, whether you're educating, whether you're performing, composing, you're teaching lessons on the side, it's something that I have just learned. Like I've been removed now almost 5 years, and I just learned this. So a big part of why I want to do this podcast is to just say you went through 4 years and at the end of it a big part of that first job that first push is being confident in that for 4 years you didn't just do this for nothing so you just have to go and do it at the end of the day and there's more support than what you know so no you're fine I think that this is something that a lot of people should aspire to in their year going to year 3, year 4, year 5, or something like that, is that you have a foundation. Now it's
Mhm.
time to maybe pull back and like do the things, don't just go home, go out, do ensembles, do lessons, have a side gig, date,
Yeah.
do something like it's
You
okay.
do
You don't
have
have
a
to be a
personal
teacher.
life, and that's okay.
Exactly. Yes. So which kind of leads me into my next thing. You dropped a lot of great nuggets, but do you have one more tidbit of advice? Maybe this one more geared towards students who are or people that are starting in their first couple years of elementary music ed, or are thinking about it and they're in college right now.
Yeah, so I would just say, just for anybody, whether you're thinking about elementary or like your middle or high school geared, I would just say don't like cross off elementary off of your brain. Because like I said, it is needed and it's needed a lot. And um just try it, and even if you don't love it, like moving on to middle or high school, if you do that, okay, well, you at least know what the kids are like and what they need from you to be able to join that middle or high school band. So just for any graduates, looking for jobs, just don't knock off elementary. And then for people who are wanting elementary, go for it and like don't hold back, and it's okay to be silly. And I mean, the kids are going to feed off of you. So if you're sitting there and you're just kind of, oh, I hate my job, I hate elementary, or you're just tired, the kids are going to be tired too. So just have fun, do your job, but also know that, like, sometimes you have your days. You don't always have to be all like upbeat and whatnot. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
the
love that.
kids, the kids feed off of you. So just have fun in your job. So
Love it.
that'd be
Yes, a
me.
good reminder. I think for everyone, just have fun in your job, whether it's elementary, middle school, high school, college, whatever. Because if you're not having fun, then it's people are gonna notice. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, last one. And this might be more so for like any ensembles that you just want to plug that you're currently a part of, but like any plugs, do you have social media for some of these ensembles, things like that, or do you publicize your lessons and have like a little like Facebook page or something, or that you want me to
Yeah.
add like a caption and description?
So I really recommend the Pensacola Civic Band. That's the one that I've been part of for many years now. They do have social media. I believe it's just Pensacola Civic Band.
Okay.
Great band to play in. The Pensacola Bay Band is also great too, especially if you've kind of um, not played your instrument as much anymore, but you're just wanted to get in it to just have fun. They're a great band for that. If anybody needs any lessons and like Pensacola area, pace, whatever. Erin Nolan, that's me. Oboe. I don't want to teach clarinet. I don't want to teach saxophone. I'm Martian, that's it. I'm kidding. I can teach them all, but I prefer oboe.
That's fair.
Um,
That is fair.
yeah.
Well,
So,
thank you so much, Aaron. This was very
yeah.
light. This is very refreshing. It's very fun. I hope that this hour of your Sunday was nice and also like not refreshing or draining or anything like that, because I just loved your perspective on all of this, and um, I think that especially in the elementary. I mean, I'm gonna be real. For me, elementary ed was never an option because I don't like kids.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of the times I reflect and I think that sometimes in like undergrad, like whenever someone was kind of interested in it and people were like, "Oh, but you got to deal with kids and all
Yeah.
these things like that," and kind of being a little defeatist. So like, I think this was very nice for the people who were thinking about elementary, and a reminder that it is foundational just as much
Hmm.
as middle school is foundational, just as much as high school is foundational for college and things like that. So,
Yeah.
um, even more so, really, let's be honest, because a lot of our love for music came from playing that recorder in third
All
grade and having
cross
awful.
buns. Speaking of that, I gotta wash 81 recorders in my dishwasher today.
Oh gosh.
Did you know you can wash them in your dishwasher? Actually, make sure you put them on the spindles or they'll fall off onto the burner and melt. and almost burn your house down. Learn from me.
Tidbit of advice number two.
Yeah. So yes, my ears
Yes.
will be ready for hot cross buns starting tomorrow.
Yes, I kind of miss it, honestly, those beginner sounds. Well, thank you so much, and thank y'all who are listening. I think this will be episode number 8. So if you're
Mhm.
come this far, thank you. Leave any feedback or if there's anything else you want to hear from. I think I've gotten a pretty big breadth of people, mostly in the high school and middle school, but I have some people coming up that are performers and hopefully composers and things like that, or people that have just transitioned outwards. So anyway, thank you all so much for listening, and hopefully you'll tune in next week. Bye.
Yes. Bye.